Hi everyone, how are you this evening? You can just smile if I can see your video, if you're doing okay, or thumbs up, thumbs down if you're not having a great day. Welcome this evening. I know, oh, it's so nice to see so many beautiful faces. I'm really excited today to be talking to you as somebody involved with ECNY. We love to help people get back to work, and that's kind of what we're here to do tonight and during our other workshops. In my experience working at the Port Washington Public Library with Denise, who is fabulous, offering you all this great programming, I've noticed that some people have a lot of trouble understanding how to format their resumes. So the content isn't something that they struggle with so much. They don't know how to make the document look the way they want it to look, so it doesn't get rejected by the portals. Thus, this workshop was born because I want to be able to click through and help people understand exactly what your document should look like when you're submitting it, so it gets the most traction. So this evening, I'm going to be going back and forth between Word and Google Docs, which are the two most popular word processing programs that people will use. If you could please make sure in the chat to send me what your full name is, as well as your email address, that would be great. That way I can keep attendance. And then if you have questions, I'll know who you are and how to respond to you. And if you also type in your chat box what word processing program you prefer to use, whether it's Word or Google Docs, I would appreciate that, just so I know which one to focus on. Do I need to split equally? And we can get started. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen momentarily. And then you'll all be able to see a sample. So after this is over, you will all get a link to our website that will have a resource tab that will be available for a limited period of time for you to look at the template again that we're going to be going over. So you can compare as you're creating your own document. The one that I'll be showing you tonight is going to be a kitchen sink resume template, which means that there's going to be some different colors on it, and that allows you to tailor it in case you're multifaceted, you have a lot of talents, but when you go to create a resume to submit, you would take out things that are not pertinent. So I'm going to share my screen, and then you'll be able to see what I am talking about.
It says, please wait, the meeting host will let you in soon. I got that far.
We'll let you in.
Oh, it says connecting. Okay. Maybe we got it.
Okay, you should be in the room now.
Oh, I think I got it. I think I got it. Okay. I see your template.
Okay. Does everybody see that template now? You can give me a smile if you see it. Okay, perfect.
I see you.
Oh, okay.
All right.
We see a lot of beautiful faces tonight. I see some names, some familiar names here. Nice to see some of you who are not on video. So the template that we're looking at right now, in the 10+ years that ECNY has been helping people get back to work, we've come up with a great template that helps your resumes get through the portals. So while these are not creative, like the one sheet or one page that we discussed a couple weeks ago, these are a very standard type of format for a resume that will get through the portals as long as you follow the directions to be able to get it streamlined. So if we see the top on this template, can everybody see that? You can nod if you're on video. Okay. So at the top where it says template, that would be where your name goes. And then it will have your email address to the left of it underneath your name in a slightly smaller font. And we'll through exactly what the font sizes will be. I'll pull that up and show it to you. But we want this to be a professional email address. It shouldn't be pixiedustinlovins123@gmail.com. It should be your name, whatever your professional name is that you go by, that you want people to know when you're working. Then in the center, underneath your name, you're going to want your telephone number, preferably your cell phone, so somebody else is not picking up that phone when they call. I know Maria has said many times that a child may pick up a phone if it's a house or a landline. So you want to be aware what phone number is going on your resume to try to limit that. And then all the way to the right on the top of your resume should be your vanity LinkedIn URL. Hopefully everyone here has a LinkedIn. If you don't, please join us. In July, we will be doing a LinkedIn crash course to help you not only build your LinkedIn, but make sure all the settings are correct and you get the traction that you want through the premier social media networking for businesses. And then there's a thick black line underneath. That is going to give it some definition without causing any issues when it comes to the formatting when it's being uploaded. Underneath that, bless you, Lauren, is going to be your summary of qualifications. So this is your introduction. This is how you're going to grab people's attention. It will be a paragraph form. On this particular document as a sample, because it's a kitchen sink resume, there are a few different ones that are started. So you might have a few different paragraphs under the section that you are going to delete out the ones that aren't important for the resume you're submitting. But this way, at least you have them all in order on one document, color coded, and you can take it out. This section might be similar to your summary on your LinkedIn. It might be similar to your elevator pitch, depending on what you say and what the goal of your resume is. It's going to have some qualifying quantitative information to let people have a little tease into what it is that you do and how you do it. But it also wants people to be able to identify what type of professional you are in the summary. Then we go down to the next section, which is core competencies. And we can go over those, but you should have no less than 12 core competencies listed. And I'm sure you all have way more than that you are amazing at. So you want to have them varied, whether they're people-facing, systems-facing, just great organizational skills. If you're a manager, you want to make sure that you have something about, team building and all that. So you can see in this particular list of core competencies, there are a lot of them and they're color-coded, and you can swap them out based on the position that you're applying for. Then we go down to professional experience. Many people on resumes like to put a lot of lines and bars, and they will often get you rejected from the online portals. So we try not to put too many of them on our documents if we can avoid it. So we just have a space underneath professional experience, and then we have the name of the company, what the job title was, and the department that it was in. And then there's going to be bullets that will allow you to talk about what it is that you did and how you did it. And when you go through actual resume development, we would talk about the content there, how you use the STAR technique to make sure you flesh out those bullets and really show how you did what you did. But for right now, we're just looking at the format and how it looked. And you can see that this person had multiple positions within the same company. So next to the company name, there are the total years that they worked there, 18. And then for each position, it's broken down the years that they worked in that position. If you did not have multiple positions or succession in a company, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to put the number, like the year range for every position. If it's only one position, just your years at the company would suffice. And then we go down. If your resume is multiple pages, we would put a footer on the bottom. You can see it says name with a solid bar and then the page number. That fine. You have your email address and your LinkedIn at the header of the top page, so you don't need to repeat that on every page. And then on the second page, you can see it says additional experience includes. So we want to limit the amount of experience that we put on our resumes to between 12 and 15 years. So if you have other things that you've done previously, you might want to put that under additional experience to show that you have the skill sets that are needed for this new position, but without aging yourself too much, because although I'd love to say that ageism doesn't exist, it certainly does. We want people to see you for how fabulous you are, not judging you by when you got your degree or how many different companies you worked for over 40 years. So you would just put under the additional experience the name of the company and the job title and department that you had. You don't have to put dates there. And then if your education is important to what it is that you do, if you have certifications, that would be something that you'd want to put there. So you'd have a section for education saying what school you went to, what degree or program you were in, and where that college was, and the state and city that it's located. You don't have to put the dates in that section unless it's a very recent degree or certification that you want to show that you're really up to date on the skills that they're asking for. For instance, I see somebody in the room is in marketing. I know this particular person consistently gets new certifications, is a very avid learner. So she might want to put the dates of the completion of her courses on there. Then we have another section for honors or awards and recognition. If you've been in a publication or you've been recognized for something that you feel you want someone to know about because you're impressed with yourself and your abilities, you would put that there. Another thing is your certifications. Like I said, you could write what it is and where you earned it from. And then you have, if you happen to be in IT or a field that requires some type of specialized training, then you can put that in as its own section, bullet it out, saying what it is that you are good at doing or have a lot of experience with. And then if you also are a volunteer, that would be another section. And it just shows that you're well-rounded and you have passions and that you want to be part of your community. I know that was kind of a lot, but if you would like to either write a comment or raise your hand, if you have any questions about this specific format, I'd be happy to answer it. If not, I would like to move on to how we actually make the document look like this by selecting and clicking around in Word and or Google Docs. Does anybody have any questions?
Maria, it's Deepa.
Hi, Deepa.
Hi. Is the preferred bullet to use is a round one? Like there are very creative way of, like some are squares and some of those, like they're funky looking, which look attractive to the eye. So the preference is to use a round dot, right?
The preference is to use the round dot because the portal systems don't reject the round dots. Like none of them do. Some systems accept squares and check boxes, but not all of them do. The older portal systems will reject it and your resume will never even get to HR. Okay. So rather be safe than sorry. It's better to just use the circle bullets. If you are printing a resume to hand someone in an interview, if you want to make it stylized, feel free to do that. But your base document that you're using for submission should have round bullets. So I'm going to.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, Olga. Let me unmute you.
Yes. Hi. Thank you, Maria. So basically, in this particular document, I do not need to list the places of my employment, correct?
Well, you would list the places, but you don't have to list the years if they're past 12 to 15 years. I'll go back up so you can see where it is. So we have under professional experience, ABC. So say that was the place that you worked, you would write that. I'll be right with you, Lauren. And you would write what your position was and what department that was in. And then you would write your bullets in full sentences saying what you did there.
And if in the past almost 30
Oh, I can't
years,
hear you. I'm sorry.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. It's very low.
Oh, I don't know how to make it louder.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
you were back for a second and now you're very low again.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how to make it louder. But if I worked in the past, let's say 30 years, in let's say in a number of places, let's say 10, 15 places, let's say. So would you list all of them?
I really can't hear you. I'm so sorry.
I don't know why
Going
is
back.
so. I will send it in the chat. So I'm typing.
Oh.
If I work in-
Okay, can you type your question? Sorry, I don't know why I can't hear
Yeah.
you.
She's doing that, Maria. She's sending them to you through chat.
Lauren, okay. Lauren, I'll be to you next. I unmuted you for a second. More than six.
Hi, I had typed my question in also. I just was
So
wondering.
Olga, the answer to your question is if you've worked in a bunch of places in the last 12 to 15 years where you basically did the same thing, it might make more sense for you to do a functional resume, and then you would just list the places that you've worked and then have one section of skill sets.
Okay, thank you.
I can kind of show that later. We can flesh it out as we're going and doing some samples. But if you think it's a lot of repetition and you don't want to just keep saying the same thing over and over and inventing new ways to say it, a functional resume might be a better way for you to go. Okay, Lauren, what was your question?
Can you hear me?
I don't know why I can't hear anything now.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Hold on one second. I'm just going to ask how to fix my sound. I've never had a problem where the sound was spotty. I apologize to everyone in advance. Can everyone hear me when I speak?
Yes.
Lauren, can you try to talk again and let me see if I can
Can you hear me?
please?
Hello?
And I can't hear you, but I like your gestures. Thank you. This is really silly that I can't hear anybody. All right. Thank you, Lauren. I'll look at your question in the chat. Oh, so I see someone's question was how many years to go back on a resume is 12 to 15. I'm just trying to find Lauren's. Lauren, do you see where, what time you sent your question? Because I'm not seeing a question from you. Oh, so where would being active in community theater fit? Volunteer somewhere else? So if that, it depends on what type of position you're looking for. If you're looking for a position working at a community theater or being an actress, then I would put that in past experience. It doesn't necessarily be, they don't need to know whether you got paid or not to do it. If it's just something you think brings out a skill set because you're very good at presenting in front of audiences, and that's the type of presentation that you're looking for, then I would put it in volunteer just to show that you're well-rounded. Somebody is asking if they've had a gap in work to help raise children. How do they put that in? You can just not put years in, and then if people question it, you can explain that you were at home raising children, but you have been updating your skill sets, doing this, this, and this over the time that you have not been in the workforce. I hope I got the question so far. I still need to figure out how to reset my sound because I thought I did it and it didn't do it. Okay, so Patty, the answer is yes. If you want to focus on your volunteer work in the interim, that is perfectly fine. It can be under work experience or under volunteer experience, depending on how transferable the skill set is to the position you're looking for. So I'm going to start over in Word to show you how to start formatting the top of your document. Can I see by a show of hands in the room how many people are using Word? I know a few people said Word, a few people said Google Docs. So Word has our hands up. We have 4 so far. If you are not, okay, Patty, thank you, 5. Rosanna, I think you said you're gonna try with Google Docs. Okay, so I'll start with Word and then we'll go to Google Docs for those people who are working on that. If you do not have Word, you can use the free version online just by going to Microsoft.com. You can just sign up and you're able to use the cloud version of Word for free in most instances. So I'm going to start over here. So generally speaking, when we're doing a resume, we want to limit the font to 1 font, and it will be either Arial or Times New Roman. And the reason for that is that the older portal systems, which many companies still will only accept those fonts. And if you have something else, your document can get rejected, but there's no notification to you that it gets rejected. So you can think that you've applied to several positions and your resume is never seen. So just for best practices, you want to stick to Arial or Times New Roman. So generally Word will default to Calibri. I'm not sure why that is, but you want to change it to either Times New Roman or Arial to start. And while we're in our document, we also want to make sure that we don't use more than 2 to 3 font sizes. That can also be a red flag for portals where they will reject the resume because it looks like there's too many formatting changes throughout the document. So for your name, you would type it in. I'll just type mine for now, except I can't spell my own name today. And you want that to be centered. So if you have on the top, can you all see this part, or is it sharing the wrong screen? Can you see a Word document now? Yes? Okay. So I generally will say that your name should be either 14 or 16. You want it to be prominent and you want it to be bold. So if you have all of your formatting bars at the top, you'd want to make sure that you're going in the paragraph section and hitting center, or you can hit the Control E button and that will center it. And then you want to do bold in the font section after changing it to the right size and font. And bold is Control B, or you can just hit the bolded B. Now under that, like we said, you're gonna do your email address. Your email address should be smaller. So we're gonna change that to a 12 for this particular area. So I'm gonna type in, that's gonna be my email, and then I'm gonna tab, and that will hyperlink it. So if somebody is getting this as a PDF format or even as a Word format, they'll be able to click on your email address and it will, in their browser, generate an email to you if they have it set up properly. In the center, we put in our phone number. Now, sometimes parentheses throw things off. I prefer, and our best practice at UCNY is to use the dots or periods to separate the numbers in our phone numbers. If you prefer the parentheses, you think it looks cleaner, that's fine too. It's not an issue. And then you'll tab over again, and then you will write in your LinkedIn URL, which should be your vanity URL. What that means is it should say linkedin.com/your name or some version of your name, not what they assign you that has 9,000 numbers and letters after it. You want it to look clean and professional, and a lot of times when LinkedIn assigns you your web address for LinkedIn, it doesn't really fit on the line very nicely, and it does look very messy. So we will be running a LinkedIn class in a few weeks. If you're not sure how to do that, you can reach out to us. I'll be happy to, just let you know how to do that one piece to change and clean your vanity URL on LinkedIn. But it's easy enough. So basically it's linkedin.com, and then mine is very simple. It's just Maria Duchin. So now that is going to hyperlink as well. And this is centered. You can add extra tabs in if it's not going to do that. So if you want to just make sure everything is lined up, sometimes you just have to put a couple spaces in to make it look centered. Sometimes it looks perfect, sometimes it doesn't. You have to play with it just a little bit. Some people like to put columns in here, and while that's fine, we are going to be using columns and a table for our core competencies. So if we try not to use that for this section, it'll be a better chance that it is not going to get rejected. So if we can try to do this, that would be better. Kathleen, the answer is yes, you can just send it to a specific company. Today, we're not talking about necessarily putting our resumes on LinkedIn. It's just that LinkedIn is a very good tool to help you business network, get in front of the right people. So the reason that we include our LinkedIn URL link is to show that we are professionals and that we are actively engaged in our community. And a great way to do that is by being on LinkedIn and writing articles, sharing articles, and engaging in content that is important to our industry. So now after we do this part, we're gonna put in that bar. There's a question I heard a peep of sorts. One on the phone. I don't know what your name is on the phone. Who is on the phone whose phone number ends in 8317?
Yeah, that's me. My name is Mike.
It's also breaking up. I'm sorry. So Patrice's question was, is it not important to add your city to the resume? So if you are trying to apply to a position that is hyper local, like in your town, say you live in Port and you want to work at the Port Washington Public Library, maybe you want to put Port Washington on there to show that you're a member of the community. And that way they know no matter what, you're going to come to work because you're really close. If you put an address in, a full address or even a city, sometimes that limits it. People might not know where that is. When I was moving to Long Island from New Jersey and I had New Jersey on my resume because I was just applying places, that was looked on poorly because people were like, well, how are you going to get to work? So we prefer not to put your address or your city on your resume unless you are applying for something that is very close to where you live or you're going to be coming from. If you could just hold on 1 second, I'm going to try to fix my audio again. I apologize for the technical difficulties this evening. I've never had this issue and my Zoom is not responding the way that I would like it to. It looks like my audio is fine. I'm not sure why I can't hear other people. We'll just keep going. Okay, so I apologize that I can't hear some of you. I will try to do my best to pay attention to the comments box and answer your questions as they come up. For your question about hyphenated names, Lauren, they are not looked upon unfavorably. You just want to make sure that when you're putting it in on your resume and you're skewing your bars, that it doesn't look lopsided. So if you have a hyphenated name in your LinkedIn, maybe you also want a hyphenated name in your email address, so it kind of balances. Think about the scale of it aesthetically, is what my suggestion is. I don't think I missed any questions. If I did, please raise your hands in the chat and let me know. Okay, so once we have our name and our email, phone, and LinkedIn in the header, basically, of our document, then we're going to go in and we're going to put in that black bar. And you can see that all of these different tabs have a million options that you can put in. You can do it a number of different ways. A lot of people just like to insert and you can put in a shape, and you can put in a line, and you draw a line. You want to make sure that it is a straight line. And then when you have it here, you have it like that, we want to go to where the little formatting layout box is. You want to click on that, and then you go to see more. When you go to that, you would want to say your alignment is, you're going to go to alignment, and you're going to say it's going to be centered relative to your column. But you want to change that to your page. Then you would click OK, and then that way it is centered underneath what you have. Then you go back to your layout options and go to see more. And then you would go to size, and this is where you can change the height, the width, everything. So I can make it bigger. My height, if I make it 1.5, I can do that, and you'll be able to see what that made a diagonal. That was not, I've never had that done before. So we can leave that like that for now, and I will show you how to do the thickness of it when it's cooperating better. But at least you have the line there, and then you'll go down. We do want the text wrapping. We want it to be in front of the text, not in line with the text, which is going to be in front of the text there. So it's that one that has, it shows like it's in front of the lines. And then we can go underneath. And it doesn't want to work. There we go. So then you click underneath it, and this is where your content will start. So then we had our name, and that's going to be in a 16 font. And then our email address, phone number, and LinkedIn was in size 12. So our headings going forward are going to be in a size 14 font. It's all going to be in the same. So this is going to be our summary of qualifications. And then the writing in here will be in 12 as well. Summary of qualifications is going to be bold, it's going to be centered, and then the actual writing will not be bold, and it's going to either be left justified or it's going to be justified. So then you would write a paragraph about what makes you special. If I could type correctly, that would be good too. And this is going to say something to effect of education and training, professional, marketing professional, etc. This would go into your elevator pitch or your summary, wherever you're comfortable with. So you'd want to highlight what type of professional you are, and many people like to put that part in bold. And that's fine. And then the rest will be regular type in 12-point fonts. And then just for the formatting portion of it, we're going to go down again. We're going to leave an extra space in between the summary section and then your competencies. And again, core competencies are going to be in bold, and they're going to be the 14, that is your headers, and that's going to be centered. And then you'll put in a bullet table. Now, a lot of people get very confused about how to do a bullet table. I will send you instructions on this in an email, as long as I received your email addresses in my chat window with the link to that template that I showed earlier. But the way that you do that is that you are going to insert a table. So you go to insert, and then you'll see the little table. And then we're going to put in, it's going to be 3 columns and 4 rows. And that's going to give us the table that we want. And this has 12. Now, these are going to be bullets. So you're going to put in a bunch of things. And eventually we're going to hide these boxes because we don't want the boxes to actually show up on our resume. We just want it to be formatted and spaced out properly. So if we highlight the whole table and then we go back to home, we can go to where it says paragraph and you can see that there is a bullet section. And you can see that the bullets are default. They come up with the round bullets. As long as you haven't changed that. If you have changed that on your own word processing document, then you would need to go back and change them to the circles. And the way that you do that is you do the drop down and you would find in the bullet library which one you want. So we have this one, we're just gonna keep it, but that's how you do it. And then we want those to be left aligned. So then when you type things in, they're just gonna come in exactly, and you can tab over and write in your core competencies. But once you have it set up in the box and you've put in your bullets, you can go back and fill that in later. And the way to remove the boxes is you click on the little X there, and then it'll let you go to this part where it says borders, and you're gonna write no borders. So it'll come up on the visual part online, on your computer, it'll show you little dotted lines. But when you go to print, that will not show up. So I'll show you what it looks like in a print preview. You see how the entire box is gone now? So it shows you on your document that you can see the actual formatting, but on the printed document, it doesn't show that for you. So then after core competencies, we go back to our size 14. This also, we want to make sure that this is all in 12 and not bold. So after you have the formatting, you can just go back and change that. And then when we come back down here, it'll be our 14 bold, and we'll go into work experience or professional experience. So under that, we're going to change it back to 12 and not bold. And then we're going to go back to the left alignment, and then it would be your company. And that would be bold. I use Control B, which is the shortcut for that.
Microsoft Walt and Google Docs, she's going to do that later. But I can't. I tried to sign into there, so eventually it says dial by location, I dial back. That's so,
I'm having a hard time hearing
you. If you join, you can see here, I can see.
Just go online and you will have right away. There's a bunch of forms.
I know, yes, I know, that's the one I use, but it goes crazy.
What the hell is happening?
Whoever is speaking, I can't hear you, but it sounds like there is a conversation occurring that I'm not sure if we're supposed to be part of.
What is going on?
I hear voices, but I'm not sure if the question is for me or not. Thank you for that information, Denise, by the way. Okay, thank you, Lynn, for that comment. Kathleen, can you still not hear me? Okay, so a few people can hear me. So Lauren, to go to your comments, how do we select the columns? So I'm just going to get rid of my table for a second. If I go back to insert, if I go to table, if you don't want to do the quick way, you can go to insert table and it'll allow you to select it. We want to do 3 columns, 4 rows. And then you want it to be the fixed width auto. And then you should be able to hit OK. And then it'll come back. Then we highlight it again. We go to home, and that'll give us our bullets to put in. And then we put them here, and we make it size 12, not bold. And then we hide by getting rid of our no border. Did that answer your question, Lauren, or do you need me to go through it one more time? Is it still grayed out?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my God. Okay. So it did allow me to choose the number of columns and rows, but when I inserted it, it moved all of my text to the wrong places. So I hit undo.
Okay.
And okay. But I guess my question is, maybe I should make sure I'm in the right place first. Hold on. Let me just see this. Insert table and 3 and 2 and auto and okay. Got it. Thank you.
It's good now. Sometimes it messes up like where it's being placed in the document, and you'd want to fix the text wrapping around a table or an image. So that might have been the issue initially when it up your.
How many columns and rows did you do? I thought
It's 3 columns and 4 rows.
4 rows. Okay, so
Have a minimum of 12. If you have more, that's fine. The way that you add an entire row is you click outside the box. You see how it's not like that's in the box. If you hit an enter there, it just makes the box bigger. We don't want to do that. So if you want to add another row, you click outside and you can see the dark flashing cursor line is outside. You hit enter there and you hit a whole nother line. So say you only had one more, like you had 13 core competencies that you wanted to do, you could just take the bullet out of the first one and the last one in that row, and then it'll be nicely centered in the middle. Or if you only had 2, you could do the 2 ends, and you could make one, a longer one because it's a little too wordy maybe. You can adjust it to fit however many you need that way.
Why are my boxes so much bigger than yours?
It just might be the way that you have it set up. So if you if you go to where that little X is and you use your right click instead of the left, you can go to your table properties and you can adjust the width of the row and the column. So this just happens to be retrofitted for me. My column widths are 2.16 on my rows. It allows it to break past pages, but you can go to a specific height when you have text in there, and you can make it what you want it to be.
Okay, one more stupid question. When you say right click and left click, and when you're working with a touchpad, how do you do right click, left click?
My touchpad has like a little line in between on the bottom. So I just go as far to the right on the bottom of it as I can, and I like double tap to get the right click menu to come up.
Oh, that doesn't work here. Okay. I don't know. I'll have to Google
So
it.
what if you hold towards the bottom, like you just hold it down towards the bottom right?
No, nothing happens. I just get it. If I'm clicking on the box, I'm just getting the table that comes up, the formatting table.
What if you double click it? Okay, that comes up at the top. So you can change.
Show you.
You can go, so if you go to design, where's the part to show you how to do that part? Layout.
What kind of table am I looking to get up here?
This is just a regular table. So if you go to insert,
No, I mean when you
tables, you drop it down. You can just go to insert. Oh.
No, when you were describing clicking there, yes, there's that, and then there was something else you said. Some other kind of table. I have that.
You have this. Okay.
I have that. Is that all I'm needing?
That's all you're needing. If you want to change specific, you go to table properties.
Okay, got it.
Brings up the way that you can specify what you want.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Rosemary, you need me to review how to put in the bullet table again? I'll get rid of it and we can go through it again. So if you're just looking at your main bar at the top of your Word document, you would, instead of being on home that has all your font and formatting options, you go to insert. On insert, there's this little table part. You click down to go to table, and you can either go over 3 columns and down 4 rows and click that and it'll put it in, or you can go into insert table and it brings you to the actual drop-down menu where you can change it to 3 columns and 4 rows, and you would keep it with auto fixed with and click OK. And then the next step that you do is you highlight the whole thing, and then you would go back to your home, and under the paragraph section up here, you would click the bullets and it would put in your round bullets if that's your default. And then you left align. You change it to a size 12 font so it matches the rest of your font, and take out the bold. And then to get, you have your table in there now. You would be able to type in everything. Once you're done with that, you don't need to format your actual bullet table box. You would then click on the little X here and you would get your borders. So you can do that here, or you can just highlight the whole thing and go up here into the paragraph where the borders are, and you would just go to no borders. And then that gets rid of the lines on the printed documents.
Maria,
Yes.
I have one more question. I'm sorry. So when I put my bullets in, some of the bullets are here and some of them are over here. Like, why did it put bullets in different places?
In the core competencies bullet box?
Yeah, some of them are toward the bottom of the boxes and some of them are toward the top of the boxes. So
Do you have some lines that have multiple lines, like the wording is longer?
No.
Like, no? Okay, so I would just click the whole thing so it grays out.
Uh-huh.
I would make sure that they're all going to be left aligned.
So when I gray it out, it's interesting. When I gray it out, the first set of boxes are completely gray, and then the rest of the boxes are only half gray. And that's the ratio of wacky bullets also.
Okay, so what if you highlight it and drag for all of them? Does it still do the same thing?
Yeah, I highlighted all of it, and the first section is highlighted all gray, and the rest of it is half gray, half white.
That's Word just being wonky and annoying, and I apologize. You can go and, where's the part that it says?
Can you see this?
I can see that. That's a little weird. There might be a split in your boxes. Can you get rid of your box and just insert it again? Sometimes, like, the formatting gets carried over the wrong way.
So how do I get rid of the box? Just
So you click on the little cross that's up here and you hit backspace, or you can,
okay, it's gone.
I guess I can't figure out how to tell you how to right click, but you can hit cut if that's an option.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again.
I'm sorry that you're having issues with Word. Sometimes it's glitchy.
3 and 4. Okay. And then I'm highlighting everything. Okay. Go to home. Yeah, it did it again. That's so weird. Ugh.
Okay. So sometimes what is helpful for me is if my particular document is not working, I just open a new document, create a bullet table in that document, and then copy and paste it over, and that'll work when
Okay.
we're having a glitch.
All right.
As much as I love Word and Microsoft products in general, sometimes the software is just really tricky, and no matter how awesome you are at utilizing it, you're never gonna win.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna try that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I apologize that it's a little hard to walk you through when I'm not sitting next to you.
No, I know. Oh my God.
It's still doing it?
I did a new table and it made all the bullets perfect except for one. One bullet, it put it in the middle and it's not even shaded in. It's like a random.
That's fun.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a glitch. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know who can see Olga's picture, but it looks like her face is like popping out of a Russian castle. It's very cool to me. I'm just reading through the comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. Olga, if you would like to practice working on your resume as we're walking through it, that way if you have a question like Lauren and your word is being ghostly and messing things up on you, I'd be happy to try to help you fix it. So if you want to utilize that second computer on your desk to practice, that would be good. Because then if you get stuck, I can help you as best as I can. As we all see, I can't work miracles. I'm just gonna. Hello.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Sorry.
We just have fabulous staff here at our office building who came in to make sure that we are clean and perfect. I got a little scared. If you saw me jump, that is why. So I'm going to go back to the actual resume format. I'll click over to the sample that we were looking at earlier for you to see what it looks like when it's filled in a little bit, but we can see that it's pretty much the same as what we have up to this point. It's just not as long, didn't fill in all the content, but we do have a professional experience. I like to center them. Some people think it's cleaner when the headers are you know, all left aligned. That would be your preference. It doesn't matter in the portals whether it's centered or left aligned for the headings of each section. We have our company. I'm just gonna enlarge this again, and I'm gonna tab over. Whatever it is, wherever you want your tab stop to be for your dates, you're gonna keep it consistent for each of the companies that you work for. So say we worked here from 2016 to 2019, 2020. I obviously do not have use of my numbers. So we have that, it fits. Now we go down to, and we have this double space. So if you have the problem where the spacing is off, you can go here and make it single space so it doesn't keep getting those gaps. And you can go to remove space after paragraph. That way it gets rid of the double spacing that's inherently in Word. So, I don't know if you've all noticed this, but my O on my computer does not work very well. I have to go back and like hit it really hard. So most words that have an O in them, it just disappears. I'm not really that bad of a typer. It just is my keyboard's broken. So if your title in your company doesn't have a department, like for ECNY, we don't have a marketing department, you know, executive department. We're just all one big happy family. So you don't have to put the department that you're in if you don't have one. If you do have one, then you would just put comma and you would write marketing department. If you need that. If you don't need it, then you don't worry about it. And notice this is all in bold here. If I had succession within this company, I would also put another date over here right under where this was. So say I got promoted to career strategist in 2018, then I would write 2018 for 2020. And then I would make this not bold for my next thing. And then I would start with my bullets, explaining what exactly it is that I did there. And these would be full sentences, sometimes 2 to 3 sentences, depending on how important it is, what you're explaining that you did and how you did it. And you would use the STAR technique. Expound. You would have probably somewhere between 3 and 8 bullets, depending on your scope of experience in that position. And then you would go back and you would put an extra enter and you can just write this part would be folded. And then you would put your bullets in again. I'm not sure what just happened there. You'd want them to be aligned. If this happens to you, it's okay. You just want to make sure that you drag your borders. So you saw how it kind of just like made it crazy. It put the bullet where it wanted to. If you look at the top bar here, they have little things that you can drag. You can drag them where you want them to go. You just click in the section where you want it, and it'll show you where it's going. You just want to line it up the best you can. The first part is where the actual bullet will be. The second part is where the words will start. And if you click on it, it lines it up and shows you where that is throughout the document. So then you would put in whatever it is. And then when you want to start your next position, you would go back. Again, here, we don't want that bold. These are not bolds. Just these are. Keep, are you raising your hand or adjusting? Okay, just adjusting. Oh, okay, so this is a good question. What is the STAR technique? STAR technique is when you talk about your situation, task, action, and results. Many times on a resume, we do it backwards, but we don't like to say the word rats, so we stick with STAR. So when you're talking about the content in your bullets, you want to talk about what you achieved. So what was the result of your actions? What action did you take to achieve that result? What was the technique that you used to do it? And then you want to explain the situation a little bit about how it came to be that you got the results. So your bullet would say something like, achieved a 10% increase in sales year over year by employing positive social media campaigns, utilizing Google Words and sharing on multiple platforms in order to increase the breadth of where's the land? I need wording for marketing things. In order to make sure that our message was being delivered to the largest audience possible. So that was going backwards. First, it was the result that you increased by 10% year over year. The second was how you did it. Then it was what platforms you used, and then why you were doing it in the first place. Oh, so line spacing is going to be in the paragraph section in your main bar under home. It's this one right here that has the up and down. And if you click that down, you can choose the spacing that you want. And if this says remove space before or remove space after, it means that they've already been automatically put one in there for you. So you would click to remove. If you want to add, you can add. I tried not to do that. I think it's easier just to hit an extra enter to put it in rather than having it default to that. But if you really want to play with it, you can click on the line spacing options and you can really see what your document's going to look like because it gives you a preview of it in the box below. But the quick function would be to just do it right from the paragraph table box, like area for formatting. Did that answer the question? Thank you, Deepa, for stepping in on that one. Patrice, the star item on the resume, it goes in the bullet. It's okay if your bullets have 2 to 3 sentences, as long as it is valuable information. Not every single bullet needs to be a star, but the ones that have the quantitative and the qualitative information that are the most important, that show your skill set and how you utilized it, those are the ones that you're gonna use the star technique on. Thank you, Alana. I appreciate your response. She gave me the wording for my marketing bullet because I'm not in marketing. She said that I could have said data-driven marketing that creates high-impact marketing campaigns that increase brand awareness and revenue. And that sounds a lot better than what I rambled for you. So thank you. Does anybody have any questions of like the actual formatting for how we get things on the page to look the way that they do in Word? Because the rest of it, if we go back to the template, it's basically following the exact same format. So that was, and then we could do our additional experience includes, and that's just going to be the name of the company, the position, and the department. So if we go down here, go back to center, we go to 14, we have the bolds. And then this, again, is going to go down to 12. And we can keep this part bold because it's going to be your company and your position again. So we want that to be bold, but we do want it to be on the left. So it could say, okay. So you would just have that. You don't need to put your dates in for your additional experience. It's likely that it's more than 12 to 15 years in the past. So you don't want to age yourself as we stated earlier. If we have, go. And then you can put your education underneath that. It'll be exactly the same. And education will be bold font, not bold, unless you want to bold your school and your degree, that's fine as well. But it's up to you. If you have multiple degrees, you would put bullets here. If you have a singular degree, then you would just put it there as a regular. and it would be left aligned, or if you prefer, you can keep it in the middle. I really can't type today, I'm sorry. So you would put in whatever it is that you have. If you want to put the date in because you recently graduated, you can do that. If you don't want to put the date in because it's been a while, you can omit it as well. So for those, okay, I have a couple comments. So I will be sending an email to everyone who sent me their email address in the chat box. In the email, it will give you the website and the login information so you can see the template that is currently on the left side of my screen. So you can use that as a guide when you are creating your own documents. And then the next question was, no, the location of the company is not needed in the additional experience section unless you want it to be. If it is a local company that you think that the company that you want to work for might know or have contacts there to check on you. If you feel like you would have glowing reviews from there, you can include it, but you don't have to include it if you don't want to. So Lauren, for your question about if your job title changed, if the job scope was different and you want to show different skill sets, then I would include the change. If it was basically the same job the whole time, they just changed your title because of a reorganization, then I would say both job titles with like a slash in between, just showing that there was a change, but you were doing the same duties. That makes sense to everyone?
Thank you.
Okay. What else we have? Does anybody want me to go over the Google Docs one and show you how to set it up in there? Because it is a little bit different for those of you using it. Olga? Okay. So rather than me retyping things, I am going to just copy the wording. I'm going to just go into my Google Docs. Can everybody see my blank Google Docs template right now? Okay. So before I do that, I'm going to go back to the Word really fast. For those of you who are still kind of new to Word and don't know how to use it, the way to save your file, which is super important to do, you always want to do it. I usually have autosave on, but for this particular class, I had it off because most people don't keep it on. But to save it, you would go to File, you would go to Save As. I have a million things in my computer, so I'm just going to save it to a brand new place. And I'm going to write resume format sample. That's just how I'm going to save it, and I'm going to hit save. So now you can see at the top of my bar, it says resume format sample, and it tells me that it's saved to my PC. So now I have that saved, and I'm not going to lose it. And I'm going to shrink down this window, and I'm going to go to a full screen of my Google Docs. So for those of you who don't know how to access Google Docs, you're in a clean window on Chrome, which is a browser. It's not Firefox, it's not Internet Explorer, it's not Microsoft Edge. Chrome is its own like window that you can go to that's a browser for the internet. I happen to use Chrome most of the time, so it makes it easier. If you're not using Chrome, you can go to google.com. But because I'm here, you can see the sites very often. But when you use a Chrome browser, you generally will have a Gmail email address. So it will show what you have going on. So you can see I have a bunch of apps preloaded. then I can go down to Docs. Another way to access it is if you click up here, there's like what they call a waffle. It's like a 9-square little Rubik's Cube looking thing, and it says apps next to it. You can click on that as well, and you can see that it gives you some common choices within Google Apps to use. Either way, if you click on Docs, it brings you to Google Docs. It might on your computer ask you to download the extension. It is very quick, it is very safe, you can download it, it's fine. They do have resume templates here, but many of these, the way that they're formatted, do not go through the portals. So if you want to do a visual one, feel free to use their templates, but we prefer that you use the one that we've been building out tonight. So you would start with a blank one. And the way that you save it in Google Docs is where it says Untitled Document. You highlight that and you type in your title. So now that is going, because this is a internet web browser based word processing software, it's going to automatically save throughout the time that you're editing it. So you can see here it says last edit was seconds ago. Every time I edit, it's going to save it for me. Like every 30 seconds or a minute, whatever its default is. I believe it's every minute when you first sign in for your Google Docs. So when you have this, you would just type in your name, your email address, and then your phone number. If everybody calls me, I'll know why. Just keep giving you all my phone number. Okay, so now I want to make this a size 16 font. You can see this is different to the, here it's a false Arial, which is one of the accepted fonts for all of the portals, so you can leave it at Arial. And then we're going to change that to size 16. 16 is not an option here, so all you have to do is type in 16 and hit the enter button, and then it's going to come up with the right size, and then you will center it. Again, with the next line, we actually want this to be size 12. So we're going to change it to size 12 font, and then we're going to center it, and we're going to hit our pen to make sure that it looks pretty centered. I think it did a pretty good job there. And then after we hit the enter button after LinkedIn, if you wanted to make this hyperlinked, all you have to do is put in www. If it's not hyperlinking, because you need the www to be missing for it to look centered better on the page, you can always put it in, hit enter, it'll hyperlink it, and then you can get rid of the www. And then when somebody looks at this document and they're going on it, they'll be able to click on it. You can see it comes up when you click on it, and it'll take you right to that web page. Except I didn't put the www in, so it got rid of it. But the links will generally work. You just want to test them out if that's the purpose of putting the links in. Now to insert the line on this one, it's an insert. It's going to be a horizontal line. Now, if we click on this horizontal line, we can change the thickness of it. I apologize. As of yesterday, when I checked all of the features, they were working, and today they are not working. But as long as you have the actual line in there, that's all you really need. So it's okay that we have the line. Now we're going to go down. Then we would type in our summary qualifications. This is going to be bold and 14. Our name needs to be bold. This is where you put your paragraph in. Then we do our core competencies. And that's going to be 14 and bold again. And then when we go to insert our table, we go up to the top. It says File, Edit, View, Insert, the fourth one over. You go to Table. You can just do your 3 columns, your 4 rows, and it's going to insert it for you. Just like we did at Word, it's just a slightly different menu to look at. We're going to go up here to the bulleted list. It's going to put them in for us. We know that they're all left aligned. We can see that, but if we want to change that, we can put it here. Then to get rid of the box, you go to your table properties. And we don't want our table border to be anything. And you can see that I hit it by making the border white and making it 0 points. So now you have a bullet box in here. You can do whatever you want. And just like you would, if you want to add another row, you would actually have to go in and add another row. It's not as easy as Microsoft Word to add it the way that it was. And you can take away the borders of just some of them by clicking on these little arrows. Another way to do that is for the whole box. If you highlight the whole thing, like I just put a box around the whole thing. You don't need to do that. I already made them white and got rid of them. But if you wanted to get rid of it for all of them, you would highlight the whole thing and you could go to the one that has no borders. So I think the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to just be typing in the titles of your sections and doing it the same way. But for the most part, Google Docs is pretty easy, the same way that Microsoft Word is. It's just slightly different menus that you're using at the top, but they all look pretty much the same. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments, make sure I'm not missing anything. So somebody asked if a resume should be limited to 1 page. Deepa, I'll be right with you. I see your hand up. A resume does not have to be limited to 1 page. If you have the experience to found more than 1 page, then you need to write that because it's very hard to talk about a career that you've had on 1 page. 2 pages are completely acceptable. Oftentimes, people who have very technical skill sets go into 3 pages, and that's just fine. You just want to make sure that you're not just putting a lot of 1 sentences that have nothing in your bullets. Like you want them to be expounded upon to make someone feel that it's worth it to keep reading additional pages. A couple weeks ago, I talked about a 1-sheet, which is more of a creative graphic resume. If you feel more comfortable with that type of resume, that's fine. But those are not going to show up in portals because they're too formatted. So this type is very good for submitting on portals. We do have a 1-page format that I'm going to see if I can get up on our website that you'll have access to as well. So you can see what a 1-pager formatted this way would look like. If you are just starting out, you're just out of college, or you're trying to start something completely different after raising kids for 15 or 20 years, maybe you feel more comfortable with a 1-pager. That's fine as well. You need to be able to speak to what it is that you're giving to someone. So if you don't feel comfortable explaining what's in a 2- or 3-page resume, then don't go with a 2- or 3-page resume. But be very confident in what it is that you have on your document. Your document should spur conversation that shows your passion, your dedication, and your expertise. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. All right, next thing is should I include various organizations I'm a member of, bar association, networking groups, etc.? I would say, yes, Olga, you should include the things that you're passionate about that are important to you. You never know what the person on the other side of the desk is going to pick up on and find a connection with. The more things that they can see that you are a human and that you're going out of your way to connect with others and help them, I think the better. People that are in more strict industries that are definitely more skill driven and they don't do things like networking, they're not on community boards, they're not active. If you don't have it, don't lie about it, but if you do, show that, because it gives you a little bit of an edge because people can connect with you on a different level. And even if they don't have a position in the company for you because of those, they might know somebody that has a shared passion in that area that can get your foot in the door elsewhere. So just showing who you are and what you do is important. And that's why LinkedIn is great, because you can show that there. You can really kind of toot your own horn without making it seem like you're conceited. So on your resume, you want to include things. You don't have to go into a lot of detail about it, but it should be there for them to ask you questions about that you can speak to. Okay, next one is when should I use Word and when should I use Google Docs? If you don't have Word, you should use Google Docs. If your Word is acting up and giving you ghost bullets and making your formatting crazy, then you should use Google Docs. If you don't have a Gmail account, but you have Word, then use Word. It's really what your comfort and your preference are. If you don't want to do something because your computer space is limited, maybe using Google Docs is better because all of your information is stored in the cloud that's connected to your Gmail email. So there are a lot of different circumstances why you might use one over the other, but it really is about comfort level. The bottom line, though, is when you're sending a resume, you don't want to send the Word or the doc format. You want to send it as a PDF. And the reason that I say that is that not all recruiters are good people. They want to get as many listings to hire people for as possible in many cases. And this is not true of all recruiters. There are wonderful ones out there that really fight for you and on your side, but there are some shady ones that will take your resume that you send them in a Word document, copy, paste it, take out your information, and then fish for job listings by sending out your resume and saying, I have a candidate that does this, this, and this. I'd like to fill your positions. But they might not actually submit you for that job. Or if they do submit your resume, it might blacklist you from being able to apply to that company on your own, which then forces you to only be able to get that job by working with that recruiter. So unless you know the recruiter very well and have a good working relationship, and unless the company specifically asks for it in a Word or a doc file extension, only send it as a PDF. And I'll show you how to do that in both Word and Google Docs. Since I have Google Docs open here, I'm just going to show you how to do that. If you go to File, and then you go to, where is it? Where's the prints? Oh, so you would do Download. And instead of doing, like you can, if you do it in Google Docs, but you have Word and your Word was just acting funny, you can save it as a Microsoft Word extension. And then when you go into your Word, you can open it through that and it'll be formatted for Word without a problem. But what I want you to do for sending your resume is that you want to download it as a PDF document. And you can see down here in the bottom, it automatically loaded it as a PDF. So now I'm going to open it. And it came up. You can't see my boxes, you just see my bullets. And this is what you would send to a recruiter or to a company. It's what you would upload in a portal. Now, if I go back to my Word, if I want to save this as a PDF, I go to File, Save As, and then I would go to this PC, or if you have OneDrive that you use, you can use whatever you want. But instead of having it say Word document here, you drop that down and you go about a third of the way down the list and you do PDF. And then you save it like that. So now when I go to open, I can see that I have a resume format sample here that's in documents. That's not the one I want. I want to open it in I have a lot going on my computer, I'm sorry. Do you want to close that? I did just pull something else. Okay. That's that. Another way to do that is if you're on your document, if you go to File and you go to Print, instead of printing it to a printer that you're connected to, you can print it to an Adobe PDF. If this was working properly, it would drop down. You'd be able to see all the printers. But if you print to Adobe PDF, it'll save it under that file name as a PDF as well. And that's what you can send out. And because my computer is split between two screens, so this is the box that came up when I went to save it. So I'm just gonna hit save. And now when I open, I'm gonna go down to resume. Do you think I have enough documents in here? Resume format sample would be here. And now you can see it's in this format in PDF. I know we're getting a little close to the time and I want to make sure that I'm answering everybody's questions, but I do want to show you this little document that I created. It's called a resume format cheat sheet. And I'm gonna try to get this uploaded on the website for everyone. And it kind of goes over all the things that we talked about this evening. So it has your name, and then it gives you a description. It tells you how to put in the bold line, what point fonts you should do. So you could be doing 10 to 11 or 12. If you're using 16 for your name, you might want to do this in 12. It all depends on the actual formatting of your document and how long your email address and your LinkedIn are, how long these will be. Summary of qualifications, you could do it bold, all caps, only caps in the first letter, whatever you're comfortable with. We've been doing 14 this evening. You could do 12. The reason that these font sizes are a little bit smaller is because when we do boot camp, a lot of people are professionals, they have a lot to say, and we need the font to be a little smaller to fit everything on there. If you are one of those people, you can go with smaller fonts. If you're not one of those people, you can go with slightly bigger fonts just to make it look nice. Then it talks to you about the summary. It tells you what you can use. Again, your core competencies, what you would do here, how to do it, professional experience. It talks about your achievements. In here, it says, add solid achievements here. Try not to repeat leading action verbs. Use the STAR technique to expound. Make sure some bullets have quantifiable figures. They can be more or less than 5 bullets based on the work you did and what you feel is important to share. So we're just reviewing some of the content things that you might put in there. Again, this is just a quick little overview of what we said tonight. I'm going to see if I can get this sent out to you, as well as the link for the other document. And at the bottom, if it's multiple pages, you can do your name, your phone, your email, and then your page. Some people don't need that. Sometimes you just need your name and your page number, and that's fine as well. It's all up to how you feel comfortable with your document looking. You want it to be representative of who you are, but you also want it to get to the right people in HR. I'm just going to check to see if there are any more questions that I can answer. What does a functional resume look like? Let me pull up a functional resume. That way I can show you. Sorry. I apologize, I'm just trying to pull one up. I didn't think to have a functional resume ready for you. I apologize. I don't know what this is. I'm just trying to find it. I apologize. This is taking longer than it needs to. It's not it. Okay. Patrice, I'm going to reach out to you individually as long as I have your email address, rather than wasting more time looking for a functional resume sample. But basically, instead of listing the companies that you've worked for, a functional resume will break it down into skill set areas. So if you worked with communications, customer service, operations, like through different jobs, you would break it down based on what those skill sets are and what you did in those areas. And then you do your STAR technique in bullets under that. And then under your experience section, you would just list the name of the companies and the title that you held there, as opposed to bulleting out each of the different companies, the job titles and the dates. A functional resume is very good for a lot of people who work in consulting roles, where you might be working for many different companies at the same time, or if you've had a lot of gaps in employment because you've been taking care of children or parents and been out of the workforce, but you've been working, doing volunteerism and PTAs, things like that along the years, still bringing your skill sets up to date, not necessarily working in a job that is paying you, necessarily what you're worth, or something that you were not out of the household for. So I will if anybody specifically wants to look at a functional resume, please send me that question and I'll make sure that I get that to you. But I don't want to waste more time looking for a functional resume when my OneDrive is not cooperating at the moment. So for saving your resume on Google Docs, after it is already on there, you can see at the top, you can make a copy or you can download. When you download it, that's saving that version. But you can also look at your version history and it'll tell you when the last time it was saved. So you can name your current version, which is what we're working on now. And you can say, you know, June, I don't even know what day it is today. Days are flying by. June 15th edition. And then you'll know that that's the one. But it's basically saving it every time. So this was 20 minutes ago. This is what it looked like. We haven't really made any changes to it. So it's already saved. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay. I'm happy to send out information for the cheat sheet. I believe that you'll have access to the ECNY website with a template between 7 and 14 days. I do have to make sure with Maria Fry, who is the founder of ECNY, that that is accurate. But when I send you an email, once I have your email addresses, I will give you that information with the login and let you know how long that link will be active. Okay. And yes, Denise, thank you. We will be having our Zoom career workshops every Monday in June, July, and August. We're still working on what we're going to do in August, but for the rest of this month and next week, I don't know how filled we are, Denise, but we do have some drop-in slots available. I think we were going to try to expand that. Last week we had 10. We wanted to maybe get some more people involved for next week, potentially up to 20 people coming in. We're all just going to be in a Zoom chat room together. You can ask your questions. Sometimes your questions help other people. So we had a little bit of a back and forth going over what we think would help people with their job search and their questions. And I think we had a pretty successful evening with that. So we're going to continue that. And then I believe I'm doing elevator pitches the last Monday of June. I will be sending out what the rest of the events are, but I do think that Denise is fabulous as usual and has posted all of our July workshops on the Port Washington Library website. We're going to be doing in July some Canva 101. We'll be doing Google Docs, Google Sheets. Which is like PowerPoint. We'll be doing LinkedIn. So as soon as I get the rest of the August ones confirmed, we'll also be working on some things there. I accidentally pulled up somebody's completed resume. Unfortunately, I can't send somebody's full resume out, but I can send a completed sample. I'm going to see if we can get that uploaded on the website so you can access it. I just can't email them to you because it is proprietary information pertaining to our clients. And if I don't have your email address yet, I will make sure that we get it. If you are on the phone instead of on the actual Zoom, please make sure that you call the library and tell Denise that you were on the session and give her your email address so we can have it and get you the information that we promised. And I do see, there we go. Okay, thank you, those of you that are asked. The LinkedIn crash course is going to be the last Monday in July, I believe, which the date is, if I look at my calendar, I can tell you in 1 second. That is going to be on July 27th, will be LinkedIn. July 6th is Canva 101. July 13 is going to go over Google Docs more in depth. July 20th is going to be Google Slides. And then July 27th will be the LinkedIn crash course. All right, so somebody can't hear me, so I'm going to type on my screen. Since we do have some requests for, I guess, full resumes that are completed, I will talk to Denise and Maria about this, but perhaps we will do a basic resume content class in August to help those of you who want to do the meat and potatoes of the resume, not just the actual formatting. This just seems to be a prerequisite for a lot of people. And I do know that there will be potentially a boot camp starting up in July. I don't know, Denise, if that has been advertised yet, but for those of you who are looking.
There is a boot camp coming up in July, and it's going to be in our July newsletter, and then I will be doing an email blast about it prior to that, and ECNY will be doing an email blast about it as well. But it is definite. There is a boot camp in July. It's on Wednesdays. I believe the first, it's July 8th, starting up on Wednesdays, I believe at 12:30, from 12:30 to 3:30.
I'm sorry, I'm teaching a class in here. I had a key, I'm good, thank you. Sorry, everyone, the custodian was gonna lock me in.
Don't you love Zoom? Don't we all love Zoom so much? So yes, so the boot camp is July 8th, every week for 8 weeks from 12:30 to 3:30, and it is going to be via Zoom. It is going to be registration. We are taking registration for it. You can't just log in like tonight. And the details will be published in the Port Washington Library's newsletter, but there'll also be email blasts about it prior to that.
So, I'm going to reach out to the people who are saying that they can't hear me to make sure that they get this information. But for those of you who really want some extra help with your job search, our 8-week boot camp is a fabulous way to kind of get your heinies in gear, and you get homework, and it kind of makes you focus on the things that are really hard to do. So some of the topics in boot camp include change management, networking, elevator pitch. We definitely create our elevator pitches and you get critiques on them. You'll also be doing resume formatting like we did today. So you'll have a leg up on knowing how to make the document look the right way. We go over how to create your resume. We go over interview questions. We have a networking events. We have a lot of things that help you really kind of grow into the person that you want to be in front of other people who will be potentially interviewing you. So if you've never been in a boot camp and you think that you would benefit from that, look out for the library newsletter and our email blast and sign up and join us. 2 months with us is sometimes a little too much. 2 months with us is sometimes not enough and you want to come back. So if you're a boot camp survivor and you want to get your hiney kicked again, you can sign up and put up with us one more round. So we're really excited to be providing these services to the people who patronize Port Washington, as well as others in our network who are gluttons for punishment. So please look out for those emails and register if you'd like.
Thanks, Maria. This was
You're
terrific.
welcome.
I'm sorry for all the technical problems I'm very sorry for the tech problems we were having, but it seems like this was out of our hands. It seems like this was bigger than this particular meeting tonight.
Technology and I are not really friends most days. I do my best. It's kind of like my husband's. I say it with a smile and get through the day. So that's all we can do, right?
But it sounds like there was something much bigger going on,
Yes.
you know, so I think that you should be commended for being the trooper that you are and getting the information to the patrons despite the tech problems. I thank you very much.
I apologize for the pauses, and I hope that you all enjoyed what we had on our program this evening. I look forward to seeing your faces at upcoming programs next week, the week after, and the following 8 weeks of the summer. And then maybe we can all Zoom on the beach one day. Denise, we can get that set up, right?
Sure thing.